Awesome. Thanks very much. So a pleasure to be here, everyone. And I'm really excited about today's topic on efficient leadership coaching. When my wife and I set up Coachology about 6 or 7 years ago now, we realized there were many coaching programs out there in the market to certify professional coaches. Yet there weren't many of them that were focusing specifically on leadership coaching. Now, as I think most of us on the call realize, when you're in a leadership role, you rarely have the opportunity to sit down for a full hour and have a coaching conversation with just one of your subordinates, never mind the 5, 10, or 20 subordinates that you have. So as we were creating our program to get ICF certified, we wanted to cover some specific frameworks that can help busy leaders and executives with practical tools that they can even use conversationally, meaning that we don't have to sit down and have an official coaching conversation. It can be done at the water cooler or the coffee machine or the lunch break or the cafe down the street or whatever. And so for the purposes of today's talk, I'm going to share some slides and feel free to take notes, to take screenshots, and really practice this tool for yourself. Whether you're an existing coach or you're in a leadership role or a bit of both, then I really invite you to practice these tools and see if it works for you. So for that reason, I'm going to kind of teach you the framework first, and then we're going to do a demo. So I would love a volunteer who is okay to be open and to talk a little bit about a specific challenge or problem that might be happening in your life at the moment. Now, this POW coaching model that we're about to learn, yes, it's primarily used in leadership context for coaching your subordinates or peers or, members of other people in other departments. But you can actually use it in any area of your life. And in fact, with a little bit of practice, you can even coach yourself when you're feeling a little bit stuck if you follow this really simple framework. So you don't need to volunteer just yet, but please keep it in mind. In about 20 or 30 minutes, I'm going to love to have a volunteer who has a real kind of challenge or situation where you're feeling a little bit stuck. Then we can do the demo and hopefully help you get unstuck to move towards the resolution of that situation that you're facing. So without further ado, I am going to share the slides. Hopefully you can all see. Give me a quick little nod there if you can see that. Fantastico. Let us rock and roll. So just quickly, as a coach training provider and master facilitator, I'm working all around the region. And these are just some of the organizations that I have taught this POW leadership coaching model to. Why do they want to learn it? Because they're leaders and executives and they don't have time for a 1 hour sit down conversation. So all of these companies here, they know the benefits of coaching and they are engaging with me and my team to support them with the implementation of a coaching culture. Now, I've already mentioned it a couple of times. What do you think the biggest resistance is to leadership coaching? Who knows what it is? That's right. It's got to be, I don't have enough time. I don't have enough time. I'm too busy. I've got so much to do. I don't have time to coach. Now, I get it. I can appreciate that that is the main resistance or obstacle that we as leaders have to coaching. Now, it's also true, this not enough time excuse, it does happen both ways. Sometimes the coachee does not have enough time, but predominantly it's the leader or the executive who says to themselves, I don't have time. So the question that comes straight up is, well, how do we overcome that? How do I overcome this internal resistance that I don't have enough time to coach? There are two answers to this. Number one, I want you to get it that coaching is a return of it's a return on investment, an ROI of your time, the leader or the executive. What do I mean by that is when you're not coaching your teams, every time they have a problem, who do they come to? That's right. They come to you, the leader. Boss, 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 I have a problem. Boss, 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 I have another problem. And we think that it's quicker just to tell them what to do. Now, the trap there is when we are telling our teams what to do, they're not thinking for themselves. So every single little problem or drama, they're going to come to you, the boss. So you want to be able to shift that 180. And as you know, one of the most fundamental principles of coaching is asking questions to help the coachee come up with their own solution. So yes, it does take time, right? Your subordinate's going to come to you, boss, 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 I have a problem. You put your coaching hat on and you simply say, tell me about the situation. Good. Tell me a little bit more. Awesome. What do you think? What could be one solution? What's another solution? What would your role model recommend? And you begin the process called coaching. And those initial conversations might be 10, 15, 20 minutes, and you've helped them to come up with a solution, and then off they go. They come back a couple of days later. Boss, 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 I've got another problem. You put your coach hat on, you say, what do you think? What could be one possibility? What's another option? And maybe you do a bit quicker this time. Maybe it's a 15-minute coaching conversation. A magical thing happens. Once you've coached that member of the team 3 or 4 times, the next time they have a problem, they think to themselves, oh, if I go to the boss is going to say, what do you think? What could be one possibility? What's one option? So in that moment, they begin thinking differently to come up with solutions to their own problems and challenges. And in that moment, you start to cash in on your investment of time, right? So for example, over 1 month, maybe you invest 1 hour of your time coaching a subordinate. 15 minutes here, 20 minutes there, 10 minutes there, and so on. After that 1 month where you have invested 1 hour, because you've helped them to think differently about problems and challenges, and now they're more proactive, they're more solution focused, they can actually solve their own problems. Now, they're not coming back to you every 10 minutes with their next problem and their next problem and their next problem. So as you invest that 1 hour in 1 month, in the long run, you will save hours and hours and hours of your own time so that you can focus on the things that are more important. You're not always putting out fires because you have coached and helped your team to think differently. And of course, you're not doing that with just one of your subordinates. You're doing it with as many of your subordinates as you can. And the second thing to overcome this resistance to time is to simply schedule a block of 20 to 30 minutes in your calendar to make coaching a regular part of your leadership practice. Coaching at its most fundamental is a communication tool. And if you schedule it regularly, then everyone in the organization knows that you are making it important. And if you, the boss, make it important, then they will make it important to show up. So as you schedule regular sessions with your subordinates, starting at just 20 or 30 minutes, then that will help you to overcome your own internal resistance to, I don't have enough time. Make sense? Awesome. Any questions, by the way, feel free to drop any questions into the chat box, or also you can also unmute yourself as well, whatever's good for you. Pow. So what I want to share with you today is effective leadership coaching with the POW Coaching Model. And this will help you to have coaching conversations, effective coaching conversations in 20 minutes or less. In the beginning, it might take 25 or 30 minutes. And as you begin to practice this and implement this, I guarantee you'll get it down to 20 minutes or even down to 10 or 15 minutes to help your subordinates, your peers, and your colleagues to get unstuck from whatever kind of challenge or situation that they're facing. So let me show you this framework. It's pretty simple, actually. It's pretty easy to follow. Now, please do remember that at its most fundamental, coaching is asking and listening, not telling people what to do. If we tell people what to do, they are not growing, they're not creating new neural networks, you're not helping them to be proactive and to be a problem solver. So we simply want to follow this simple 3-step process where P is your problem. Well, not your problem, the problem of your coachee. So during the P section, you want to help your coachee to clearly identify the problem or the challenge. O is outcome. Define the preferred outcome that the coachee wants, the achievement of which the problem ceases to exist. So in other words, they have this challenge. What outcome do they need to focus on? The achievement of which, if we achieve this, then this, it disappears. And then finally, W is the way forward. What is the very next physical action? So we'll take a look at each of these sections here. And just also know that the POW coaching model can be used for individuals, it can be used for groups, and you can also use it for yourself. If you're feeling stuck in any way, shape, or form in any situation or event, you can actually coach yourself with this very effective tool. Let's take a look at the P, problem. Clearly identify the problem or challenge. Your job here as the coach is to help your coachee clearly identify one problem or challenge that they'd like to resolve. So this is why it can be really good for conversational coaching when your subordinate, your team, your colleague, your peer, your friend, your partner, whoever comes to you with some kind of challenge or problem. So you simply ask them, what is on your mind today? Here are some sample questions to get the ball rolling. Tell me about the situation. Bottom line the situation for me. So what's interesting is people, generally humans, we're more problem focused than we are solution focused. So your coachee is going to tell you about the problem and they're going to talk about it and they might vent a little bit and they might share. And if you let them, they will keep talking and talking and talking and they'll just keep talking and talking. So because you want this coaching conversation to be 20 minutes or less, you can say, okay, very clear, bottom line that situation for me, or probably my favorite, tell me about the problem in one sentence. And they'll do something like this. Blah, blah, blah. And then they'll tell you in one sentence. It's really, really beautiful. Now, the other thing that happens a lot when people start talking about their problems, they actually layer one problem on top of another on top of another. So in other words, when they're venting and they're sharing, they're often combining multiple problems in some kind of big snowball kind of thing. So as they're venting and as they're sharing, if you can identify that there are a couple of different problems in there, you want to help them to clarify which one to focus on in today's coaching conversation. So for example, they're saying blah, blah, blah. Yeah, look, I'm having a problem with my my subordinate. You know, they just don't seem to be proactive enough. And then, oh, got this thing going on at home with my teenage son. I mean, he's just gone rogue and I don't know what to do. And then, I made this, you know, this investment that's, I don't know, I'm thinking about this investment that I made and it's keeping me awake at night. Maybe the coachee says that. So you say to them, thank you for sharing. I hear that you mentioned you have a problem with your subordinate. You mentioned something about your teenage son and this thing with this investment. Which one of those would you like to focus on today? And then they say, oh, all of them are really important and I can't sleep. You say, okay, I appreciate that. And which one would you like to focus on for this conversation? We can talk about the others later, but for today, which one is the most important for you? Keeping in mind, the coachee always, always, always chooses the topic of the discussion. That's not your job as the coach. So don't try to steer them one way or the other. Let them choose by asking them which of these situations is the most important to talk about today. Cool? Right? And that's as soon, by the way, because people are good at layering these problems, just by helping them to identify one, you've already helped clear a little bit of this overwhelm and this chatter that's going on inside of their mind by identifying and focusing on one current problem or situation. And here are some common examples that I hear on a daily basis. Leaders will say, oh, we don't have enough manpower, we don't have enough staff, or oh, I didn't get promoted, it's not fair, or sales are too low. So these are just all common problem statements. And you'll see some people, some of your coachee, they're really good at articulating their problem very, very quickly, while others can sometimes go on and on and on. So your job is to keep them, you know, on time with getting clear on what their problem is based on the strategies that I just shared with you just now. Awesome. Okay, so pretty common examples there. Now we move to O, which is outcome. Define the preferred outcome, which should be a SMART goal, and I know that you all know what SMART goal is, the achievement of which the problem ceases to exist. Here are your sample questions. Before we get to the questions, your job here is to help your coachee shift the focus of the problem and help them to now focus towards a solution. You'll help them get crystal clear on an outcome by supporting them to create a SMART goal. Now, again, you are not going to tell them what their outcome or their goal is. Instead, you'll ask some of these questions. What is your preferred outcome? Right? Remember, you've just helped them to clearly identify the problem. So you simply say, well, what is your preferred outcome? Or what would you like instead? Or what is the opposite of that problem? And it's very interesting. When you ask these questions, initially your coachee will go, huh? What do you mean? What's my preferred outcome? And it just highlights, and I say this without judgment, it just highlights that most humans are really, really good at focusing on their problem. So during this part of the process, it's like you're helping them to shift their focus towards the solution. So you do need to be patient. You do need to have empathy. You might need to ask these questions or similar versions of these questions a few times. Let them vent, let them share, help to get clearer on what the outcome is, then kind of chunk it down and help them to get smart. Can you be more specific? Summarize that into one sentence. And make sure, as always, by when would you like to achieve that? And get the exact date for your SMART goals, not end of the month or end of the quarter or end of the year or end of the fiscal year. No, always, always, always use the exact date when setting, when supporting your coachee to create their SMART goal. So for example, not enough manpower. Well, what's the opposite to that? Well, that I have enough manpower. Okay, good. How many manpower do you need? Well, I don't know. Okay. How many manpower do you have now? 95. Great. How many manpower would you need to efficiently and effectively run your organization? 100. Fantastic. You need 100 staff by when? August. What date specifically? And then hopefully they'll come up with something like, we have 100 fully motivated associates, which is some organizations use this term for employee or staff. Make sure that your coachee chooses the language that is appropriate for them by the 30th of the 8th, 2024. That is the SMART goal. That is the clear outcome. If they can achieve this outcome, guess what? This problem, it now ceases to exist. And so now that they've got this clear outcome, now they can take more powerful, more juicy kind of steps to be able to achieve that very, very clear outcome. I didn't get promoted. What would you like instead? To get promoted to what? Marketing director. By when? Now I am marketing director by the 30th of the 11th, 2024. Right, now just know that this does take a little bit of practice and repetition for your own mindset to be able to lovingly, supportively nudging your coachee to focus on that solution. Sales are too low. What would you want by when? Now we achieve 1 million USD in sales by the 31st of December. Then finally, we move to W. What's the way forward, which is the very next physical action? Your job here is to help your coachee to commit to 2 or 3 specific actions that they can take and complete ideally within the next few days. The questions are, what actions can you take to achieve your outcome? Now, just be mindful here. Many new coaches, when they're practicing this tool, they will skip over the outcome part and getting the SMART goal, mostly because, especially as experienced and seasoned leaders and executive, we are often action focused. Do, go, go, go. Please take the time necessary to help your coachee to get crystal clear on the outcome, because these action steps will be much more profound and meaningful for them. What actions can you take to achieve your outcome? What else? Anything else? Just keep digging. What's another possible action? Perhaps something you've not done before. So in all of this, you're doing a mini brainstorm. Is there another step before that one? So often in this kind of little brainstorm, they'll come up with a big action, but your job here is to help them to break it down into bite-sized chunks. Why? Because those actions are easier to take. Those actions are easier to achieve. And now you're helping them to build momentum. It's a win. It's a quick win. And as you help them to build that momentum, we can then trust them to get on with the job and take those bigger actions at a later date. Of those 5 or 6 actions, whatever they come up with in their mini brainstorm, which one are the 2 most important? For priority number 1, what are some specific actions, right? If your coachee says, I need to think about it, that's not a specific action, right? You want them to take a physical action in this universe. You want them to actually do something to help them to move forward to the achievement of their goal. And always make sure they have a by when, right? Because otherwise it just becomes wishful thinking. So to help them to be more accountable, to help them to achieve their outcome, always support them to come up with a by when, by when, by when. And you can repeat this successfully until you've elicited 2 or 3 actions that ideally can be taken as soon as possible. Cool? Fantastic. So in our examples before, right, remember this one was we don't have enough manpower. This is the SMART goal. And here are some possible actions that the coachee might come up with. First action might be to set up a meeting for concerned HODs, head of department, by then. Another possible action might be, let's create a clear job description, right? Both of these need to be done before they can advertise on a website or a newspaper or those kinds of things. So when coming up with these actions, I want you to really get specific as possible. Again, you'll need to be patient with your coachee. You'll need to lovingly nudge them and support them to come up with something that can be done really quickly and really easily. With the other example of now I'm a marketing director, I could meet up with my previous marketing director from that other company. I can take her out for a coffee and I can pick her brains. What do I need to do? What do I need to learn? What do you recommend? Where should I start? What skills do I need to develop? And so on. The other simple action, and this is a really easy action, is to block my calendar to brainstorm and prioritize actions. So just follow me on this one. Many people would just say, oh, I need to brainstorm and prioritize an action plan. Sure, good. When are you going to do that? So by taking the action of blocking the time in the calendar, it's such a simple action. They can do it right there, right now, inside of the coaching conversation. You know, I would say something like, oh, you want to brainstorm and prioritize? Good. When? This week. What day? Thursdays are pretty quiet. What time on Thursday? 2 till 4 o'clock. Awesome. Do you have your phone there? Yeah. And then I would encourage them to block that time in their calendar right now. Because guess what? That's one action already ticked off. And then I might say, is there anything you need to do to prepare for your own brainstorming on Thursday from 2 till 4 o'clock? Right now, please do not think of this as micromanaging or trying to control everything. It's not. It's designed to support them to be accountable for their own actions that they decide. That's it, right? So I do want you to get as detailed as possible on this section here. It's just going to set them up to win. And if they win, then you win. So it's win-win. And if it's in the context of an organization, the organization wins. So now we're win, win, and win. If that was my target, 1 million USD in sales, I would first start by printing off a list of the highest spending clients in the last 12 months. So I might need to ask accounting for that, for example, or check some spreadsheet somewhere. Then I would set the brainstorming meeting with the team. So again, I would choose a date and I would send an invitation, and that's the first step, right? Then I might need to prepare for that meeting, and then there's the actual meeting. So as you can see, there is often some kind of little sub steps that can be done in between. And if your coachee shows you that they are proactive and that they are keeping their word and they're accountable and they're doing what they say they're going to do, then maybe you don't need to drill down as much. So you can obviously use your own experience there to determine how far you chunk down. If they have a record of not keeping their word and not doing the things and being late, then yeah, you want to really drill down to support them to be accountable with their actions. Cool. Any questions at this point on the POW coaching model? Any questions? Pretty clear, yeah? Fantastic. So it's that time to kindly request a volunteer, please. Do we have any volunteers that are open to share and have a conversation about a topic for today? Anyone? Anyone? Can be work related. There can be something personal. Can be just something you're a bit frustrated or somewhere where you feel a bit stuck. How many coaching sessions would be enough for a person with a problem? I would start with one, Raj. Remember, this is to help people to get unstuck. And often when you break it down to those very next physical actions and they start to take those actions, they're going to build momentum. So it might be 2 conversations because you'll probably want to schedule a follow-up, right? Especially if you are in the leadership context. That's why you're here today and you're only just starting to implement your coaching practice with your team, then make sure you set a follow-up for the next week or the week after. Right, then make it more regular. Do it once a month or bi-monthly, depending on how many members of the team that you have. Remember, as you get good at this, you only need to block 20 or 30 minutes in your calendar. So just do it as required. But a good coach will follow up with their coachee, right? Because you want them to win. Their success is your success. Hope that helps, Raj. Thank you for the question. Any volunteers, please? Anyone? Doesn't have to be so serious. We can just do it for fun as well. If you've got a problem with whatever, we can try it out. Anyone? Going once? Going twice? Okay.
There we go.
Krista, can you please turn your camera on and unmute thyself? And our Zoom masters will pull you up on the screen so I can see you.
Good day.
Hey, hello.
Hi.
How are you doing?
I'm well, and you?
I'm very, very well. Thank you. And thank you for volunteering. Krista, am I pronouncing that correctly?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And tell me, just before we start, okay, I just want to get to know Krista a little bit. Where are you dialing in from today, Krista?
Okay, so I'm an internal coach with the City of Cape Town in South Africa.
Awesome.
And yeah, and I'm retiring in 5 years' time, and that's where my challenge comes from. That's from the city. Yeah, and I'm doing external coaching as well.
All right, fantastic. All right, so let's first of all, Krista, thank you so much. Are you okay for the purposes of the education of the ICF community that we record this session today? Is that okay for you?
Yes.
You are awesome. So let's imagine this, okay? We've just sat down, Krista. Let me put my coaching hat on. All right. Now let's see. I actually better set my timer here, right? Wouldn't it be horrible if I ran over time? Awesome, because we want to do some Q&A at the end. So fantastic. So quiet on the set. Action. Hi, Krista. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So nice to see you, and thanks for joining me today. It's wonderful to connect with you all the way in South Africa.
Great. Luke, I'm looking forward to our coaching session.
Thank you. So tell me, Krista, you mentioned you had a situation that's on your mind. Would you like to tell me a little bit about that, please?
Okay. Okay, so I'm coaching, as I've mentioned, internally in the city of Cape Town and a little bit of private. And I'm coaching all different levels all over within the city. And my question or my challenge is, what should I focus on for in 5 years' time to be able to coach on my own, completely on my own without the salary in 5 years' time? And connected to that is the ICF accreditation. Is it necessary or not? Am I going to need it as a small coach?
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing, Krista. So what I'm hearing is you're currently an internal coach. You're doing a little bit of external coaching at the moment, and in about 5 years' time, you're looking to do it as a full-time thing. So it was kind of like a little bit about what I should focus on at the moment. Is that correct?
Yes.
So how would you like to summarize that in one sentence as kind of this situation you're facing at the moment?
How do I summarize that? Just what clients? It's actually about what clients do I focus on to prepare myself for in 5 years' time. Okay, now I don't know where the ICF accreditation thing comes in. So if I have to, maybe I should choose one of the two is the biggest challenge. Maybe the challenge is then, should I focus on ICF accreditation? So I'm throwing two challenges in still.
Okay.
I'm not making it easy for my coach.
Not a problem at all. So just to recap, I'm hearing two awesome situations at the moment. The first one was what clients to focus on in 5 years' time. And the second challenge was, should I focus on the ICF credential to prepare for that 5 years' time? Which one of those specifically would you like to focus on for today's conversation, Krista?
The ICF one. I would like to focus. I must get that out of the way.
Fantastic. Thank you for clarifying. So you've clearly mentioned the current situation now. So as you now start to think about the outcome, what would you like instead?
I would like to know, no, it's still a challenge. Basically, what are the requirements for ICF credentials, and whether I'm going to implement it or not.
Fantastic. And whether to implement. Awesome. Any other outcome you'd want from today's coaching conversation?
I think that will really assist me.
Okay. So what I'm hearing is your outcome is what are the requirements from an ICF credential and whether to kind of go ahead and to implement on that. Is that correct? By when would you like to have this clarity?
Where are we now? 16 May. I would say end of July because I'm going on a little holiday in between. So end of July, 30 July.
Nice. What year would you like that to happen?
2024.
Awesome. So, and what was the date in July?
30 July.
Sorry, was that 30 July?
Yeah, 30. Let me see what day is that of the
July.
week.
Okay.
Yeah, Tuesday.
Sounds pretty good. And could you please summarize that outcome in one nice, clear, cool, sharp sentence, please?
Okay. So by 30 July, I'm going to know what are the requirements for ICF credentialing, and I'm going to know whether to implement it or not, whether I'm going to go for it or not.
Nice. To implement or not. All right. What I'm hearing is by the 30th of July, I know the details for the ICF credentialing and you know whether to implement or not. Is that correct?
Yes.
Is there any way that you could make that kind of goal statement a little bit shorter and more concise? And if you did, what would that sound like, please?
How do I make it shorter? Okay, so again, by 30 July, I would have decided whether to implement ICF credentialing or not.
Oh, say it again. That was awesome. No, I love it. I love it. Say it again, please.
By 30 July 2024, I would have decided on ICF, on ICF credentialing implementation.
Beautiful. By the 30th of July 2024, I've decided on ICF credential and implementation.
Yes.
And can you repeat it one more time, please?
And ICF didn't ask me to do this little advert for them.
Awesome.
Okay,
one more time, please, in your words, Krista.
Okay, by 30 July 2024, I would have decided on ICF credentialing implementation.
Beautiful. And when you think about that outcome now, Krista, how do you feel?
Now I feel it's implementable. I feel good.
Okay, awesome. Thank you for sharing. Now, when we think about the way forward, what are some possible action steps that you can take to achieve that outcome?
Okay. I can do research on the ICF website.
Research on ICF website. Beautiful. What else?
Yeah. And I can talk to a colleague who is already a member. Yeah, so it's about the costing. I'm thinking who to talk to about the advantages, you know, because I mean, there is a big cost implication. So maybe just talk to the colleague and also maybe even reach out to other coaches in South Africa who belongs to our national association. So I'll reach out to at least one. And
cool.
And just
what else can you do?
Chat about, yeah. So talk to a South African coach, or you know, more senior person. Talk to a colleague. The website. Just do a cost analysis. That's 4 things already.
Anything else you could do?
Colleague. Yeah, I can talk to some service providers also in South Africa, you know, have coaches on their books, to put it that way, to hear you know, would they employ me? Can I work for them? You know, if I don't have ICF credentialing in 5 years.
Mm. Nice. Anything else you can do, Krista?
Sure, that's a lot already for end of July. Let me think. No, I think that's it.
Awesome. Would you mind repeating back what you've written down there, please, Krista?
Okay. To look at the ICF website and research that. I think it's also on YouTube, you know, I might even add that.
Beautiful.
Then to talk to a colleague who is a member, to a national, a well-known coach in South Africa from our South African Coaching Association, and to do a cost analysis, and to talk to a service provider who have coaches on their books.
Nice. Beautiful. And out of that list of amazing actions, which one is priority number one, would you say, Krista?
I'm first going to do the website, that I can just do my own research a little bit, and YouTube.
Okay, website and YouTube.
Yeah.
Awesome. And just focusing on that, on the list there, what would be the second priority that you like on that list?
Actually, to talk to my colleague who's already a member.
Talk to the colleague. Yep.
And I think then I'll do the cost analysis. And then I'll do the other coach, the sort of well-known South African coach. And then I'll make an appointment with a service provider.
Sounds like a very thorough list you have there. And if you focus on that first priority that you mentioned, researching on the ICF website and YouTube, by when would you like to do that?
Okay, I'm actually going to do that within the next week. So I would say by in a week's time, by 23 May.
Yep, okay. Research by 23rd of May. And how long do you think it might take you to do that research, approx?
You know, one evening, you know, after work, it's like 2 hours, 3 hours.
2 to 3 hours?
Yeah.
Perfect. And what do you need to do to remind yourself to take that specific action?
I'll put it in my calendar as a meeting appointment.
And when would you like to put it in the calendar?
I'll do it after our session.
Sounds like a plan. That is great. Thank you. And coming to that second priority you had of speaking to a colleague, when would you like to do that by?
I'll also do that. I'll do that within the next 2 weeks. I'll look at his his availability on our calendars, and I'll put something in our calendar. Basically, I think I can put the meeting invite in by tomorrow. I'll put something in.
Nice. So send the meeting invite by tomorrow. What date is tomorrow?
The 17th of May.
Beautiful. Fantastic. So to summarize here, I'm hearing that by the 30th of July 2024, you have decided on your ICF credential and implementation. And the top 2 actions to move that forward are you're going to do some research by the 23rd of the 5th. That'll take 2 or 3 hours, and you're going to pop that into your calendar straight after our conversation. And the second one is you're going to speak to your colleague within the next 2 to 3 weeks. And very importantly, though, you're going to send a meeting invite by tomorrow, the 17th of May.
Okay, great.
Awesome. So, Christina, as you're thinking about your outcome and these actions, how do you feel?
No, I feel as if it's a little bit of a weight falling off my shoulders.
Nice.
Thanks. Yeah.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
Yeah.
And what have you learned about yourself in our conversation today?
Yeah, I've learned that, put action to words. If something bothers me, I always say to clients also, or to my children, I'm going to self-coach I'm going to do some self-coaching. But what I do learn is it's good to be coached, you know, and to talk to a coach. No, thank you.
Amazing. Thank you very, very much, Krista. Really nice to connect with you today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and come and visit in Cape Town.
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, so
Thank you.
Okay, I can take the coach hat off. Awesome, Krista. Let's give Krista a round of applause, everyone. Yep. Thank you for being a little vulnerable. Thank you for being open. Thank you for being courageous to go through that process. Now, I've got a couple of more slides I want to share just really, really quickly. Just to, again, so you can get your screenshots and whatever you need here. Let me just quickly share these through to you. Okay, so we've done our demo. Now, it will happen, and I don't know, did my cat stepped on my timer halfway through that conversation? Thank you, Lanta. How long was that conversation, guys? I think it was about 16 minutes or something like that. Did anyone happen to notice how long? Tell me in the chat box. Now, Krista, as we all saw, perfect coachee, open, willing, growth mindset, fantastic. Couldn't have chosen better. Now, sometimes though, your coachee does get a little bit stuck. And again, this is based on reality, what I'm about to share with you here. So in reality, there will be times when your coachee says, I don't know. I don't know what my outcome, or I don't know what actions to take, or I've tried everything. I don't know what to do, coach. Just tell me what to do, coach, please. So I would invite you to, if this does happen, follow this 3-step strategy to help the conversation moving forward. Number 1, keep asking questions, right? So implement your ICF coach training and just ask your questions from slightly different perspectives, such as, what would your role model recommend? Your favorite uncle or auntie, your best previous boss 10 years ago, what would they recommend you to do? And this is one of my favorites. When the coachee says, I don't know, then I say, I know you don't know, but if you did know, what could be one possible action? And again, they'll kind of look off and go, huh? And you'll be surprised. They will come up with something. Yeah, it's a magical question to ask. So just do your best. Ask the question from multiple perspectives. And if they still say, oh, I don't know, then I want you to practice to ask a leading question. Now, again, I know that as coaches, we shouldn't be telling our subordinates what to do, but this is based on reality, all right? And sometimes in the leadership context, you don't always have 60 minutes for a pure coaching conversation. So you can ask a leading question such as, is there someone in accounting that you could speak to? Or is there some possible research that you could do? So just when you ask it, just make sure it's kind of like not obvious that you're telling them what to do, but you're kind of giving them a little bit of a clue, a little bit of a breadcrumb that helps them to just think a little bit differently. Remember, we can't solve today's problems at the same level of thinking that created them. So our job as a coach is to help your coachee to think different. And sometimes we do need to nudge them a little bit. So a little bit of a leading question in the reality context is okay, especially with your leadership coaching. And if they still say, I don't know, boss, tell me, then with permission, you can offer them a possible solution wrapped up in a question. So for example, may I share a possibility? Keeping in mind, you still want your coachee to take full ownership and accountability of the action that they're about to take. If you tell them what to do, there's a chance that they will resist or reject what you're going to say to them. So, and it's also important, following to the ICF Code of Ethics, that we ask permission first. So you simply say, may I share a possibility? May I share an option? Wait for them to say yes, right? Don't just, can I share an option? Yeah, good, blah, blah, blah. No, let them answer first. Then, is it possible that you could speak to Somchai in accounting? So now it's a little bit more direct and it's still wrapped up as a question. Now, here's the important part. If you get to step 3 here and you offer your solution and they say no, you need to let it go. Right? It's not your job or responsibility to do their own action. They need to take their action. So you need to be a little bit detached, because if you give them this suggestion and they say no, it might hurt your feelings. If you take it personally, your ego is going to get involved, and that is one of the biggest no-nos in effective coaching. So the other example, may I share an option? Yes, tell me, boss. Could you set up a meeting with that department over there and try and get clear? Is that possible? Yeah. I could call up them and we can set up a meeting, and yeah, I can do that. By when would you like to do that? So again, you're giving them a bit of a clue. You're kind of moving them closer towards the solution, yet they are still making the decision, especially with the by when. And then, you know, another option, of course, if you have time, you can do it like a bit of a role play. Okay, so you need to speak to Mary over in account department X. What are you going to say to them? What would that sound like? How are you going to phrase the question, or how are you going to get that partnership or collaboration to work? Awesomeness. So I think, how are we going for time? We've got 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Anyone have any questions, either on the demo that you saw? See that the cat just wants to keep being coached. Later, Lanta, later. Any questions about the demo that you saw, or any other questions about anything I've spoken about today, please? You can either unmute yourself or you can drop them into the chat box. Ooh. Okay, Kevin says, what would you suggest the leader do if their associate can't or doesn't have the resources to think or take too much time about the solution to over? Yeah, so Kevin, I'm not sure if that question was before or after. Follow that 3-step framework that I've just covered just now. Remember, during this POW coaching conversation, you're not looking for a detailed action plan on how they're going to solve their problem or come up with the solution. Focus instead on getting them to take some action for a quick win, right? And you should be able to do that. Now, many times, the very next physical action is sending an email, making a phone call, blocking the calendar, setting a meeting invite, having that conversation with that person. A lot of those very next actions are very simple and very easy to execute on. Then you can do the follow-up. Now, again, in reality, in a leadership context, sometimes you need to take your coaching hat off and you need to put your mentoring hat on. And if the needs of the business are greater than you getting 1 coaching hour on your log sheet, then please do what you need to do for the business, right? Focus on reality to get the result that you need to get. It's okay. You can coach them later following the ICF principles. Right? I often say there's the ICF model of coaching, which is awesome and amazing, and I love it. I'm MCC. Clearly, I love this work. And in leadership, there's reality. So sometimes you don't have the time. So do your best with your coaching practice and principles. And when needed, simply switch to mentoring if you need to get the job done. Then you've done your best. Now, with practice and repetition, you will be able to coach more and tell less. So don't beat yourself up. Just do what you need to do. Try your best. and just keep improving again and again. Awesome. Yeah, if you've got some time, guys, please do fill out the survey. We're going to take the group photo. That would be awesome. Besides a lack of time, there is also a lack of understanding how coaching, exactly. Yeah, so the best way to overcome, and I talk about this in our ICF coaching program, and in fact, it's probably, aside from time, the second biggest resistance is a lack of awareness to what coaching is. So in that instance, you will need to either educate the leaders through, you know, some kind of workshop. You know, we offer workshops, 2 hours, half day, a full day workshop, to educate leaders of the benefits of this coaching practice, including the return on investment of time. So people don't know what they don't know. So if they don't know that they don't know about the benefits of coaching, then it'll be unlikely that they suddenly just get it. They'll need some kind of education, and you'll need to encourage them to do that. Why? Because people like to stay in their comfort zones and they like to do what they've always done. So, you know, even like a 2-hour webinar can help to increase the awareness and the benefits of coaching. So if that's interesting for your organization, give me a shout. Are these POW tips for leaders who are facing problems with their subordinates? Ideally, yes. 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 Okay. So yeah, POW is perfect when someone comes to you with a problem. And as I mentioned, humans are really good at layering multiple problems. So the first P is to get clear on one problem first. Then you move your way through the O and the W. All right.
From Zarina as well, who raised her hand, if you don't mind.
Yes, Zarina.
Hi, Luke. All right.
Hey.
Thanks so much for sharing today. My questions is actually like kind of a little out of the objective for today's sessions, but I would like to hear your will. As a leadership coach, I mean, it's like I'm a coach, and then how I want to understand like how you usually approach when you already work with the leader for field sessions, and then they already achieve what they want to achieve. But then still, because the sponsor is the company, they still need to come to the sessions and meet you.
Yep.
And how you approach this kind of situations, like what are you working with them more? And yeah, they don't have a problem to come to you anymore. And they just like, okay, I'm happy. I know what this coaching is. And yeah, how you approach that.
Fantastic. So if I, just to ensure my understanding, the coach is working with the coachee. They've achieved what they wanted to achieve, but there's still some hours left in the coaching contract. Yeah. And well, the first thing you say to your coachee is, you don't have a problem. Would you like me to give you one? That's a joke. That's a joke. That's a joke. No, don't do that. No, what you do is you acknowledge them. You say, that is amazing. Great job. What's next? Right? What is next for you? What's the next big goal? You solved this problem. You took those actions. It was really, really amazing. What does the future hold? Where do you see yourself in the next 1 to 2 years? What leadership capabilities would you like to develop? What behaviors would you like to improve? If you could achieve anything, what would that look like? So, you know, again, many of us are focused on fixing and solving problems, which is cool. And in fact, according to statistics, 90% of your coachees want to solve a problem. 10% of your coachees are what I call unicorns. A unicorn client is they know what they want. It's a big goal, and they probably worked with a coach before. They know the benefits of coaching. They've got a huge, big goal, and they want support and accountability with a coach to achieve that big goal. So if you've helped them to solve a problem, then again, you need to then go from reactive to being more in the proactive space to say, okay, what would you like to improve next? How would you like to grow? What is that big goal that you'd like to achieve? Now, if they come up with nothing, then you need to inform the sponsor, and this is by ICF ethics, you need to inform the sponsor. At some point, you would of course explore it with the coachee. So if there's nothing else to coach, what would you like to do? And if they say, I'd like to terminate the engagement, you say, okay, cool. and then you speak to the sponsor and you say, would you like a refund on that unused 6 hours, or would you like to keep them in credit for another leader in the future? What would you like to do? And in that way, you're remaining ethical and professional, and that will be appreciated by everyone involved. There's no point just coaching them for the sake of it, right? If otherwise you're just both going to waste your time and spin your wheels, and they'll end up postponing and cancelling and not showing up. And then now it's lose-lose. Does that help, Jarina?
Yeah. Yes, perfect. Thanks, Luke.
Awesome. So awesome, guys. I'm at the top of the hour. We probably have another speaker coming on next, so I want to be respectful of their time. Guys, add me on LinkedIn. Search Luke Salway, S-A-L-W-A-Y. I'm regularly posting, getting tips and tricks on leadership and coaching in general. Feel free to connect with me. And if you want to turn your photo on, I think we want to take a quick group photo if we can.
Yes.
If
Luke.
not,
Thank you so much. Yeah.
please do take 30 seconds to fill out the survey. I appreciate feedback. I know the benefit of working with coaches as well. Shout out to all my previous coaches and mentors. And I want to thank everyone for a wonderful session today. Thank you for your engagement, your participation, your questions. And to my amazing coachee, Krista, I look forward to hearing what you decide on your ICF coaching journey. Until next time, everyone, please stay cool and stay awesome. Khop kun kap.
Thank you, Luke. Thank you. Amazing. Very dynamic. Lots of energy we received from you today. Shall we, Coach Kung, shall we take the picture? Is that okay for everyone? So if you
Yes.
can turn on, if you can turn on your
Okay.
details.
Turn on your video, please. I will take photo together. Okay.
Fix my hair.
Okay. Ready?
Smile.
Okay. I will put in the box. Okay.
Awesome.
Okay.
Okay, I
everyone.
will put in about the chat box. Okay, for everyone to keep your photo. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you very much, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you when I'm looking at you. Until then, ciao, ciao.
Thank you, Luke. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you. Appreciate.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
everyone.
And please fill the survey I put in about chat box.
คุณกุ้งคะ
ค่ะ
ฝากช่วยเช็ค direct message ด้วยค่ะ
direct message ของกุ้งเหรอคะ
ใช่ค่ะ ส่งไปให้ตอนต้นชั่วโมง
คุณอะไรนะคะ
เมียปากกาค่ะ
ได้เดี๋ยวสักครู่นะคะ ไม่เห็นนะสักครู่นะคะ ไหนอ่ะ
เดี๋ยวส่งไปให้ใหม่ค่ะ พอดีมัน